That's awesome, Skip. Just for just 1 second, I want to thank you a million for whatever algorithm or however it was you came across me. This has been a godsend at this point in my life. Like it was the right job at the right time, and I love it. So
Well,
I mean, even if I hadn't moved on and gotten promoted, I already loved what I was doing.
well, and let's use it
like 100% what it was from you, from Bill, from Rob. Like there was nothing, there was no surprise. Like the whole process you guys use is amazing.
well. Thank you. And so, what I'd like to do is continue from this point and tell me. So, you've been with Magline now, right? About 2 years, correct?
Almost, yeah.
And so, in from a high level view, and then we're going to drill down to the day to day view, but kind of a high level view, your 2 year journey, kind of walk us through what the recruiting process to now. Kind of, if you can, put 2 years into maybe 2 minutes.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Let me grab it.
Sure.
Okay. All right. From the recruiting process?
Yeah, kind of start from the recruiting process until now, if you would.
The recruiting process for Magline was very straightforward. Everything I was told during an interview with Skip, or whether it was Bill or any of the other managers that I spoke with, everything that was told to me came to be. There was no, they never sugarcoated anything or led me to expect something that wasn't true. The training process after that was very involved. They made sure that I understood everything.
Okay. We've lost the internet signal. Hang on. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
And now I can hear you again. So the training process was very straightforward, never sugarcoated anything. Then I lost you.
Okay.
So pick up from that point.
Okay. The training process, whether it was the Standish portion and as far as assembling hand trucks or the processes that they expect of selling or their expectations for sales, were all very straightforward and very involved. And they made sure that I understood what their expectations were, and nothing was before we moved on to the next step. So by the time I got into the truck, I knew exactly what I was supposed to do, how to do it, and the metrics by which I would be judged. And everything was exactly how it was presented. Out in the truck in the field with my manager, it was, I want to say it was about a 4-week process. They made, and I think they allot 5 to 6 weeks, I think, for actual training in the truck. And by about the 3rd or 4th week, I was ready to be on my own. It was, and that's one of the strengths with Magline, is they're not going to hold you back. If you're ready to go at X number of days or weeks after you've started training, and you're confident, and your manager's confident in you, they're going to let you go. And it's from there, it's almost like you're running your own business. It's your job to, set appointments and speak, to the people that you want to speak to, and your manager doesn't get in your way. He's there for advice. He's there for, technical assistance. But the day-to-day is all up to you, and it's almost like being your own little entrepreneur out in a Magline truck with all of the support of a big company.
Mm-hmm. Let's unpack that. So a day-to-day. So you said make your own appointments, running your own business. So for somebody, all right, somebody's come in. They've gone through the 2 weeks of training in Standish, Michigan. They've now been in the truck, and their manager travels with them for 4 to 6 weeks. Now they're ready to be turned loose. Of course, each territory has a base of customers that you go in and service and take care of. But with that knowledge, let's come back to you're now trained, you're ready to go. What's it like? How do you make your appointments? What's a week in the field like? Share that with us.
So a week in the field of a fleet services technician actually kind of begins in the week prior. Your managers are going to take all of your current contacts and prospect contacts and use those emails and send out an announcement to let them know that the Magline truck's going to be in their area the week before you get there. And then those people, hopefully, will respond when they need something. They don't always. Everyone knows how emails get.
Mhm.
You first respond to those people that have responded to you and need something and set those appointments up. Those are what I would call your have-to-dos. From there, you have a list of your customers in your territory. And by the time you're trained, you know which ones likely need you to stop by and you can make a sale. Those are what I would call your need-to-dos. After that, you have what I call the wants to do's. Those are prospect accounts that you possibly haven't gotten into yet, or a follow-up lead from a previous visit. All of those are potential sales. Wants to do's kind of drop off depending on the time of the day. Everything's kind of in flux during the day because a service account may take 20 minutes, it may take an hour and a half. So that's how I set up a day. Mm-hmm. The wants to do's just kind of keep moving from day to day, from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday, and you just try to whittle all of those down through the end of the week. Magline, I believe it's 140 calls a month is their metric that they want you to hit. How you get there is up to you.
And define a call for us.
So a sales call would be anything from a service call that is on your schedule that you have an appointment for. Mm-hmm. It's a customer that you regularly see that regularly buys stuff from the truck. Or it could be a phone call that someone reaches out to you, or you've reached out to them by phone. It's also a sales call. All of these are logged into the computer under notes, and you can refer to these notes from our system to remind you what you talked about last time. Who was it that you were speaking with? Who's the right guy to speak with if that wasn't the right guy? Your own notes you keep in the system, and they're for you, as much as they are to let Magline know what you've done. Mm-hmm. Sales calls are also cold calls. Somebody that you've never even seen, but they're likely a customer that will use our products. That's a potential sale for you that's not already one of your customers, and you have the power to go get that customer and make him a Magline customer for you, which grows your bottom line as well as Magline's.
So 140 calls a month, initially that number sounds like a big number, but then when you realize there's 21 to 22 work days in a month, an average day is practically 7 calls. That's really not over the top expectation. And one ought to be able to easily accomplish more calls than 7 in a day, I would think. But I could be wrong on that. So in a day, how, Jason, would you go about making 7 calls happen between service and cold calls?
The easiest way to get to optimize your time in the field is to use your knowledge of the area. All of our techs are based somewhere within the territory, and each tech will know best which way the traffic flows, where these certain accounts are grouped together.
Traffic, you mean the actual highway traffic?
Physical traffic on the road, correct, yeah. The traffic patterns, in a big city like Atlanta or San Francisco or Seattle is a bear sometimes, especially as things even more. Knowing just from personal knowledge that if I start going south, I'll be against the traffic that way and I can hit more accounts and then work my way back towards my base of operations, my hotel, or whether you're working from home.
Okay.
Google Maps is a great tool when you're not familiar with a certain area, because then you can sit down, you write down your have to do's, need to do's, want to do's, and then you can plug all of that into Google Maps and move it around as you need to. When
let,
I'm
let me
familiar.
let me interject here. When you get a chance, take a look at the routesales.careers website and go to the tab Learn More. And there, I've built. Let me jump to it real quick because I would like this to be on the video here so people will be aware of it. So let's go to Route Sale. Okay. It's interesting that while we're on the computer here together, I'm not getting, let me close that. That might be the problem. Okay, so route, this is interesting. Let's see here. All right, got it now. It's learn more, working as a route sales rep. And then, yes, wait, I'm sorry, come on down. All right, yes, down 2/3 of the way down the page under Learn More, then Working as a Route Sales Rep, I created a video called Prospecting Trampolining Using Google Maps. Check that out. And then I'd like, after our video chat here, check that out and give me some feedback on that. So Google Maps, you said, is a great tool. That's why I wanted to make sure people who are watching this know that that's on that tab, because it is. In fact, when I was in sales, that didn't exist. So I guess that tells.
Correct. When I started, it didn't either.
Yeah.
There was Yahoo Maps, but you had to still either print it out or write it down, and you couldn't change it on the fly. It was, Google Maps is huge.
And so trampolining, there's ways to, they're hidden gems in Google Maps that you can find. And once you find them, man, it makes prospecting so easy. So continue.
Where was that? Google Maps.
So we talked about making the 7 calls, knowing the traffic pattern.
Right. So 7 calls in a day, is not that difficult, unless you have those service calls that are. I have a few that are going to be a 2-hour call no matter what. But from the day to day, and in travel is also going to change some of that. Your Mondays and your drive out to the territory and your drive back is always going to be a little bit less than the time that you get to spend at the hotel, because you can set yourself up as close or as far from whichever accounts you want to be. The freedom that Magline lets everybody have is just, it's yours to plan. It's a learning process. You'll probably make some mistakes, along the way, but it just, as long as you just keep trying to get better and more, it's fun. Every day is different. And even when you expect a day to be XYZ, sometimes a U gets thrown in there in the middle of it. It's, but and it's not a bad thing. It's fantastic because you're never bored.
So what's a service call? So you come up to an account that might be one of these 2-hour service calls. What type of account might that? Give us an example.
A big service account would be, your Cisco food service accounts, or let's say it's like Nestle Water is a big one out here on the West Coast. Alhambra, DS Services, I think it's called in other areas. Primo Water, I think, is actually what they're called now. They just purchased. But it's any account that's going to have, 30 plus hand truck units or U-boats or whatever Magline product they're using. Typically, when it's a service call, they're going to have everything together in their yard, wherever it is their little corral is. And then some of them will have notes, some of them won't. The training that you're going to get in Standish as far as putting things together is going to be invaluable when you're out there by yourself, trying to figure out, why is this broken? What happened?
And so on a hand truck, what are some of the specifics that you might be repairing or doing?
Broken handles, bent nose plates are usually the biggest one on a regular hand truck. New wheels. A typical repair on one hand truck is usually 10 minutes, 15 minutes if it's a basic hand truck. Some of the more involved, bigger pieces take a little bit longer depending on what's wrong with them. But it's never an overwhelming number of units to work on. I've never spent more than a couple of hours on a service call, even when it's 10, 12, 15 units at a time. The way Magline puts everything together, it's pretty easy, and the way that you're.
Hang on, we lost sound again. All right, I think we got it back. Say something.
Okay. Yeah,
yep.
You got me?
So the way Magline puts everything together is makes it pretty easy. So everything's in your truck. Describe for us your truck.
The truck is set up in such a way that all of the parts that you're going to need for any service or builds are relatively easily accessible. They're labeled as by part number and usually grouped together by hand truck or unit type.
Mm-hmm.
And how you set that truck up is also up to you. There's no map that everyone has to follow because each territory is going to be different. One territory may sell hand trucks, by the 100, and you need most of those parts easily accessible, while you don't sell that many U-boats or whatever. Each territory is going to be different,
okay.
And the freedom to keep what inventory you need on hand is yours to dictate.
But Magline, I mean, some suggestions are given so that you kind of have a starting point.
Oh, yes.
You have the flexibility from there. So one of the things that I know was done before COVID, now you can tell me this, professionals like yourself would actually invite prospects to the truck and show what you can do when you arrive for a service call. Tell me a little bit about the impact and effectiveness that just driving up in the truck and having all of this available does in terms of converting somebody from whomever they're using to Magline.
Well, the truck is a great advertisement. Rolling up with a box truck. There's still accounts that I go to today that are completely unaware that I have everything on the truck that they could possibly need. You don't always have it, but that perception of, wow, that everything's on this truck is invaluable as far as a marketing tool when you show up. COVID has kind of changed as who Magline currently asks us not to let anyone in the box of the truck.
Okay.
But the door's open, and I try to work at the open door with my work table and all of my tools, so that if everything's right here, and it's once COVID becomes something we can all deal with, I'm sure that will return. Most people are surprised at just how much stuff we have on the truck and what we can do just rolling around for them.
Post-COVID here, everything's beginning to open back up, but we still have to be very, very careful. Okay. And in life, the new normal is still going to, I think, for years, require us to use disinfectants, mask, everything. So let's just, assume that, hey, life goes on and people are going to go to movies, restaurants, but we all got to be careful. So there's no difference in being a Magline sales rep and running out in your territory than taking your family to a movie or restaurant. We got to be safe in all circumstances forever from this point forward. So I know Magline provided a lot of things to make your day safe. The disinfectants that they send you, the personal protective equipment. So kind of walk us through how a COVID safe route is today. Talk to us about that, because that is, when I've talked to people, a few have had the concern about COVID safety.
I think the way a company approaches a challenge kind of tells you a lot. It's easy to love working for somebody when everything's good. When COVID came, everyone was nervous, and Magline stepped in, provided not only peace of mind to each sales tech, but also the tools as far as whether it was masks, whether it was gloves, whether it was sanitizer, all of that stuff was provided and continues to be provided today so that you can disinfect your truck, your hotel room, yourself, anything that you're building or working on. They went out and got a fantastic sanitizer spray it's a spray on, let it dry, and you're done. You can feel safe working, whether it's in your truck or on a prospect or current customer's yard. Most of the customers that we come across have been just as diligent as Magline. I haven't had any pushback from any customers as far as what I was allowed to do or a different approach to my safety, their employees' safety. So we're in line with every other company out there as far as keeping all of our individuals safe, whether it be from COVID or anything else that may come up in the future. The way that Magline made sure that we were all comfortable was through endless communication and making sure we had the right equipment, tools, PPE all the time. And they still do to this day. It's, hey, does anyone need this? And then an order comes out, and within a couple of days, we've got new masks, we've got gloves, we've got more sanitizer. Never is the company more important than the individual's safety.
And nobody in fleet sales has gotten COVID.
No, sir.
Travel.
We only stopped for 3 days the entire time.
Wow, that is fantastic. In what you just said, that Magline puts people's safety above everything else is just speaks volumes to the culture of the company. Travel and talking to candidates, travel is not for everybody, but
That's right.
Travel is something that a lot of people say, oh, that may be not what I want to do. So address that for us. What is the travel like, so that we give you said early at the beginning, there were no surprises, that total transparency, everything that I and your managers and Bill had told you was true. So we're not sugarcoating anything. So tell us what travel is like with you in Northern California.
Travel is, it's as much of a could be deterrent for some people as far as a decision. It's a difficult thing to wrap your head around at first when you're not used to that sort of a thing. But it's actually relatively painless. Magline handles all of the costs involved, so that immediately is out of the window. Whether it's hotel, meals, fuel in the truck, maintenance on the truck, everything's covered. There's nothing is expected of you as far as an out-of-the-pocket costs. You're free to choose your hotels. You're encouraged, to stay. There is a budget. I believe it's $120 a night as far as hotels go. And meals are also budgeted as well. So there's limitations on what you can purchase. But as far as the travel itself, it's only required to travel to the territory for 4 days and you're home Friday. Typically, most of the techs leave their hotel on Thursday, so they get home Thursday night, and then Friday is a local territory. In my particular experience with the way that I set my route up, which is totally free to each tech and based on their home base, whether they're living in an apartment or they have their own home, wherever it is that you call home, that's home. So everything's centered around that. You can move accounts from 1 week to another week so that it makes more sense for each tech's base of operations, which then allows you to either, in my case, I have an entire week where I work from home because of where I live and how I set the route up. I have an entire week where I go home every single day.
Mhm.
I'm Fridays with my wife, and once you're home, Magline leaves you alone. That you are not expected to answer emails. If you're on vacation or off that day, you're not expected for any meetings. It's your time. Magline is very big as far as work-life balance, more so than even some of the national companies I've worked for in the past. They are very adamant that your time is your time. It's Everyone is just as concerned that your family is happy that you work for Magline as you're happy to work for Magline. And it never falters from that. There's never a caveat.
So you are on average how many nights a month in a hotel?
12.
Okay. And that's what Bill tells me, and that's what I tell people. And now you're confirming that that is right. So a person who enjoys travel, their family situation allows them to travel. I know some situations are maybe, I don't know, a newborn and the spouse wants to stay home every single night. Hey, that's cool. Then this job is not for them. But for somebody who says, okay, they're 21 to 22 work days in a month, you're out 12, basically it's 50, maybe 60% overnight travel, and boom, success. So success is going to come from not only keeping current accounts happy and they buy more product from you, but converting new accounts. So that's really the last thing I'd like to talk about here is new account conversion, because there's some route sales technicians in Magline who are doing a great job at that, and some not so much. People who watch this video and I'm recruiting for Magline, I want them to know that there are three words in the title: route sales technician. Route, you're running a route and you're going to be out 12 nights. Technician, you're fixing the hand trucks, U-boats, things that need repair, and providing, and maybe there's consignment inventory and you're going in and refilling the bins in the tool rooms and things like that. So there's the service portion. And that's a non-issue across the board. Everybody enjoys going into a current account, fixing stuff, and having great conversations with the warehouse folks, etc. But it's that middle word, sales, that I want to address right now. So talk to us about not increasing sales in current accounts. That's pretty easy. You can learn those skills pretty quickly. I want to talk about sales in terms of converting a brand new account from cold call to now they're your customer. Well, tell us about that.
New accounts are the biggest challenge. Sometimes you're going to get pushback because nobody likes change. Nobody across the board, nobody likes change. The tools that are available for the fleet sales technicians, there's sales sheets, which is information on current products. That's one of the tools that you keep on hand in the truck. Your business cards. I would say a prospect account takes 3 to 4 touches, whether that's emails, phone calls, in-person meetings, show and tells, I would call them, whether we bring a product for them to try for 30 days. There's a demo program that you can use to get your foot in the door. Here's one, try this for 30 days. I'll be back. Give me some feedback. And the component parts that Magline builds all of their hand trucks with, not just hand trucks, all of our equipment, gives the tech the ability to adjust that piece of equipment to conform to the customer's needs. Knowing all of those products and the training that you get with your manager in Standish gives you the knowledge to know what works for what customers, what works on what pieces of equipment. And so then you use that knowledge to then educate those customers. That's, I think, the biggest advantage to Magline's model is just being able to, that didn't work for you, here, try this. It's those things, and it's all time. And every tech gets more comfortable as they go on and gain more experience. The new accounts themselves typically are grateful by the time you finally get them on board. I have yet to lose a new customer because of service, product, what have you. Magline makes the best equipment out there, and everybody knows it. It's you know, whether you're new to the industry or not, the industry knows Magline. So you're kind of walking in with an advantage to begin with, and just going forward from there. And it's a matter of getting in front of the right people at the right time and being consistent. I think consistency is going to win you these customers.
Okay, so consistency. In wrapping this up, just a few points. So consistency means what? You talked about the company does some pre-selling and gets emails out to let people know you're coming and everything. So why right now? What is it that somebody can do coming into this role to drive new business? Because that's where you start off with a great base salary, all expenses are covered. To advance your income, you sell. Not only are current accounts that volume, whether they have a new hand truck or they're repairing something, that all sales volume goes toward getting you your commission. But new sales, where all of a sudden you can pop 25 hand trucks or even a bunch of onesie twosies, boom, those things add up fast. So what is it that a new person coming into this role, Jason, can do to make that start happening week one even?
I think as far as it all comes from an attitude. You have to have the attitude. It's positivity. Know that this prospect is dollars in your pocket. When you walk in that door, that mindset, that this is more money in my pocket. This is more money to feed my kids, to take my wife out to the movies. Every prospect is that. It's all a dollar sign. It's to get those customers, my advice would be do what you say you're going to do it when you say you're going to do it, and do that every time. And beyond that, communication is key. Whether you're going to be early, going to be late, have set an appointment and need to change it, being upfront, truthful, and consistent with communication, they will appreciate that more than rolling up in a truck full of parts.
Okay. So
was that not what you were after, Skip? I'm sorry.
Oh, no. That was great. So I was just thinking here as we wrap this up, fear is the biggest thing that holds people back from that prospecting. And no, you answered my question well. So what I was after was your advice, the truth. And so thank you for that. So everything you said, it is what a person needs to do. All they got to do is really make the calls, show up. And it's that continuous touch that ultimately they're going to go, hey, I want to go with Jason or whomever. But fear is what holds people back from connecting with the ones that are not currently Magline customers. Address that for me.
I think even the best salespeople have a little bit of doubt or fear when they're going in to see somebody for the first time. The easiest way to get over that, beyond just doing it over and over and continuing to just try, is to remember that you've got the support of every other fleet tech in Magline. Every single one of these guys is doing the same thing you're doing. If you have a question, if you need some advice, they're all there. Everyone answers their phone. Everyone answers their emails. Whether it's a fleet tech that you want some advice from, or it's your manager or another manager, or even Bill or the people in Standish, use those tools. If you have doubts, call, hey, this is what I want to try. What do you think? And they will give you their honest opinion, because everyone is just as invested in your success as you are.
So addressing the eight, I've learned over the years that the best way to discuss something and benefit from a conversation is to simply address the 800-pound gorilla in the room. And so that's what I want to ask now. So you've talked about making the calls, the consistency. You've got the support of everybody within Magline, but you go into the account and you always have these visions and mental things going through your head that they're going to scream and yell at me. They're going to hate me. That they're going to tell me, get out of here, and I never want to see your face again. So most of the time, our fears in our head far exceed reality. So tell me about maybe your worst experience, your worst sales experience.
The worst thing that anybody has ever done or said is just, no, right before you get 6 words out of your mouth, hey, I'm Jason DeForest from Magline, get out of here. Okay, no, here's some information. You walk away. The worst thing that you're ever going to get is a no. It may be a rude no, but it's still just a no. We've all been in social situations where we're uncomfortable. By the time it's over with, usually you're glad you did it.
Okay.
Same way with prospecting.
And what we know is, even, for example, if I know Magline provides some very sophisticated tools to know where potential clients are, but even using a simple tool like the trampolining ability that you have in Google Maps, every exit has 4 or 5 prospects. And then within a city area, like I used the example of Rochester, New York. I mean, goodness gracious, by the time I finished, there were over 200 prospects I'd be calling on in Rochester. What's one no? You got 199 more, and you're going to sell something. So let's go now to the best sales call that you've had.
I've been fortunate to pick up some pretty good sized accounts in the first year and a half that I was doing this. And most of them were kind of resistant to begin with. They're used to what they're used to. And in this industry, it's, change is difficult, whether it's change from a managerial perspective or company policies. Nobody ever likes to change what they've been using forever. Walking into a couple of beer accounts, big beer accounts in my territory was a little bit intimidating, because these guys have been doing business for hundreds of years, and they use these, ex-hand trucks. They're not Magliners. Magliners are better. They're better off for the drivers. They're better for the company. The longevity of them is better. And talking to those points and getting somebody to just, when the light bulb goes off in their head, like, oh, wait. And it's usually not the initial purchase. Usually they still have a little wishy-washy feelings about until they get them out on the road. And then that first service call comes through, and you're there, and you get this hand truck back on the road, and they've lost 0 time in productivity. That's when you see the light bulb go off on those guys. And those guys are lifelong customers every single time. And I've gotten, I want to say, 5 of this, in the last year and a half, I picked up 5 of them that just love us to death now.
And
every one of these initially was a, no, get out of here. You're too expensive. Or no, get out of here. And then, you know, just being persistent paid off.
Wow. So you get that. Hang on. They started cutting the grass out there. 1 minute. They didn't get the memo on the fact that we were going to have our call. So these initially were, hey, get out of here. How did you then get them past that so that they ultimately were receptive? So get out of here. What's next? And what did you do?
Okay, so typically you'll get the get out of here from the gatekeeper. You didn't even get to talk to the manager yet. 9 times that day, you know, every company's got, whether it's a secretary or it's an assistant, you'll get the underling before you get to the guy that you need to get to. And sometimes there you have to be creative. You go around the gatekeeper a little bit, whether that's talking to a driver and getting the correct phone number or email address. I've had accounts that have told me this is the guy you need to talk to, and come to find out that guy doesn't exist. He's their he's their no soliciting answer, right? Rather than telling you, yeah, there's no soliciting here, get out here. They'll tell you, oh yeah, no, Dave's on a truck, or it is literally happening, and you just find another way. You know, there's always a way. Whether you run into a guy who's making a delivery at a 7-Eleven, like, hey man, who provides hand trucks? Whether, you know, you're at a gas station and you guys are pumping gas at the same time, like, never be afraid to talk to someone. Everyone's just people, and to be honest, 90% of this job is just talking to people, just making a friend.
And I would imagine if you're talking to beer, let's take the beer and the type of hand truck Magline has to bring value to the beer industry, moving the kegs around and everything. So if you're talking to the guy at the gas station, he or she would be the one using the product. So I bet you get a very positive, good receptivity from the driver.
Most of the time, yeah. It's, you know, you will run into those guys that have been doing this for 30 years, and he is not interested in a Magliner regardless if he's been using another product.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after time goes on, all of those guys kind of come around. So, you know, I had a call yesterday where they had one B&P 3 position left out of the entire fleet that I had replaced, and he was a holdout. And I went to his manager and was like, hey, look at this thing. It's unsafe. I can't fix this. Sooner or later, this is going to get your guy hurt. He bought a new hand truck yesterday to replace it. So it's, you know, just using your tool, just making friends with people is really kind of what you're doing. If you get somebody to like you, it's really easy to get them to spend money.
So building that relationship, talking to people, and what you just said in terms of the technical side, if you will, selling the idea, discussing safety. So being a friend and then showing how your new friend, if you will, not in, we know what I'm talking
Right.
here,
Yeah.
these are not personal friends, but business friends, now showing how their well-being is going to be better for using a Magliner, whether it be safety, whether it be being able to be more efficient and productive, maybe going in and out of a delivery driver might have to make 15 trips into a store bringing the product with what they're currently doing, and they might take that 15 down to 10 trips with a Magliner. So now they themselves, I was talking to a guy the other day. Unfortunately, he was not in the right geography for the Magline position. He was about 100 miles out of it, but he had a route and he delivered a product. He had 212 stores daily that he had to deliver to. He got up at 2, went to the warehouse, filled his truck with product. He was on the road by 4. and he didn't get home until 6 the next afternoon. So he's putting in 16-hour days. And he said because in his area, there aren't that many jobs available. That's why he wanted to talk. He said, I'll even drive into the territory, but that just doesn't work. But that shows that if we had a product that could take 2 or 3 hours out of his day, even right there, wow, what a value and benefit that would be. But Jason, wrapping this up, this will be the last question, because what
Yes, sir.
we're going to do is I'm going to take things that we have talked about and try to create a 10-minute video, but this one will be 30 or 40 minutes. And anybody that's gotten this far into the video, we know is serious about this opportunity. So here's the final question. What would you tell anybody who might be considering talking to me about this role? What's your advice for them? What would you like for them to know about Magline?
This, trying to think of it in good terms here. It's a great gig. I cannot stress enough how much I enjoy my day to day, people I work with. What I do is rewarding to me. It's very, you can see the effort of your work on the back of every delivery vehicle that goes by you. It's very
the red stripe.
The red stripe, to see the red stripe, to see a truck that you just got, this prospect account that you just got, and to see that truck go down the road with something you built with your hands off the back of your truck is very rewarding. It's rewarding in the sense that you're making somebody else's life easier. Their day-to-day job is now easier because of what you did, is a rewarding feeling. And the support and the human care that Magline has for every single employee is completely unrivaled in my experience. I've worked with some of the biggest companies in the world before and been just a number. At Magline, you're not just a number. You're a person. They know who you are. They know who your kids are. They know who your wife is. It's fantastic to work for Magline. It's night and day. I guarantee you, if you think it's like something that you've done before, it's not. It's better. Sorry, I just stumbled all over myself. But if I had known, I would have sought you guys out so much earlier had I known that this was something out there. I had no idea that there were companies out here that cared as much as Magline does. It's fantastic. And it's a breath of fresh air after 20 some odd years of working in different industries for some of the biggest companies out there. And it's never a grind. I never get up and then I'm like, I don't want to do this.
But Jason,
bad days.
I thank you for your honest thoughts there. And one of the things that I tell people, because I've been now recruiting for Magline for 4 years, is that you come in, you do a good job. There is a career path. There are promotional opportunities if you are interested. They only come about because Magline is growing. But as Magline grows, and the fleet sales technician is the crucial element of Magline growing. So Magline grows. Now there are additional opportunities available. You can get promoted into those. And that's why we're talking today, is because you're an example of that. I recruited you. You joined the company. You proved yourself during the interview process. I want people to know that. You got to prove yourself along the way. You win the job. Now you're telling us what your 2-year journey has been like. And now you have had the opportunity to compete for, interview for, and now be rewarded for your new role of Western Fleet Sales Manager. So I want to say congratulations. And I look forward to following your career, Jason. So bye for now.
Thank you, Skip. Thank you so much.